So I had been in there an hour before I woke up. I was in another hour before they let me go. Then I had to run straight over from there to have my adrenals scanned, which I was really afraid because I get nauseous when I'm hot. And then but thankfully I didn't have to drink anything because I got the PICC line. Went from there to get my MRI done, and they wouldn't even play music for me. They just put earplugs in my ears and said, deal with it. So I slept. I dozed in and out between praying and praying for a good result and answering the guy and sleeping. Did something miscommunicated, and I had to go back to X-ray so that they could X-ray my chest, and everything's fine. He didn't even know why they ordered it. At 2 p.m. on an empty stomach, I had to take my Dex. That was in between CAT scan and IPSS.
You were in recovery.
Yeah, I was in recovery. And that was not fun. And I cheated, and I drank a little. Well, they were trying to feed me ice water, and I'm like, gimme. You know, I can't drink it because I'm about to go have a CAT scan. So, but that's just between you and me and her and the nurse. Had the MRI done. 8 p.m. was second dose of Dex. That was day 3. Pretty eventful, but I really want to try to get through it, and I know YouTube has a time limit. So Thursday, today, day 4, was fairly uneventful. 2 a.m., 8 a.m., I had two doses of Dex. The last dose made me go nuts on the day before. The first dose this morning made me go nuts.
And then sleepy.
And then I started getting real sleepy, and I thought, well, maybe it's just my normal low. So I took another one at 2, at 2, and I started getting achy and sleepy all of a sudden, like within 20 minutes of taking it. So I was allowed to take a nap and sleep it off a little bit. That was nice. Turned in my last pee jug.
What?
I forgot to do my last salivary the night before, so I took that tonight. Jill threatened, the coordinator threatened me with bodily harm, so I decided to do that for her. And then I got to talk with the surgeon, Dr. Mayberg, and thinking it was going to be fairly short conversation. We kind of planned around that. And he came in and he's like, we don't know anything yet. Got to take a look at your MRI. And so we kind of perked up, and he said, well, we see something. But it's pretty, everything you do comes up on that mic.
I'm fidgety.
I know you're fidgety. You're cushy. He said, but we can't see a clear tumor. It's an abnormality. But he said, oh, everyone can have it. I'm like, great. So he tells me about the surgery, and I already have a 50-50 chance. I'm walking into it half and half, because unless any other numbers come up, they just can't see he just can't see what he's doing, basically. And he's an expert at it, and he says, I'll tell you right now, it's a mess in there once I start cutting, and I already don't know where it is. So, yeah. So he's already talking surgery number 2 instead of just number 1. So then all of a sudden he gets called, and they were about to leave, and they tell us, oh no, Dr. Ludlam and Dr. Mayberg are going to talk to each other, and so hold on. Well, apparently what she meant was Dr. Ludlam is going to talk to Dr. Mayberg and come in and talk to you. And we kind of looked at each other, and the lady's like, oh no, it's probably nothing you haven't heard before. The first thing I said was, then why keep us? And she can't say, because she doesn't know. Well, it comes in and he says, we got some of your labs back.
Who came in, Dr. Ludlam?
Dr. Ludlam came in and he said,
yeah.
Well, we got some of your labs back, and his pauses are deafening, and they're thousands of hours long. they seem like. And he says, I want to run some more tests. And we're like, why? And he said, well, your MRI came back kind of positive. And we're like, no, he didn't say that. He said, the text said, the MRI says there's an abnormality. And that's the way the surgeon reads it. He said, that abnormality is probably your tumor buried deep inside of it. And I said, okay. He said, but all your bloods are coming back sky high, hundreds. All hundreds. And if you're non-Cushie, you don't know what that means. Normal person's between 0 and 2. And I'm at 100 cortisol or ACTH levels. And he said, want to make sure that it's not in your lungs. So he wants to run 2 tests. He wants to either do a CT or X-ray of my chest, and he wants to do I forget the name of the scan, but it's a 3-day long scan. And we're like, okay, not knowing it's a 3-day long scan. But he's like, hey, are you leaving Friday? And we say, no, we're leaving on Sunday. Well, nothing's open on Saturday. No doctor. You can't get sick on Saturday, so no. So he works out with Jill. Jill, the coordinator, stays late, and they can do the CT tomorrow. They'll squeeze me in. But they have to wait. And this is... well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So he says, you're going to walk out of here this week with a diagnosis. He says, we may not know what kind of Cushing's you have, but you have it, and it's pretty bad. And it was all either of us could do to not just scream and start crying. And I think it's because he's such a celebrity around in the Cushing's world or whatever that kept us from doing that. But we were kind of like, it hadn't sunk in for a couple minutes. And he said that, you've got it. We just want to make sure that it's not in your chest. It's not in your lungs. But he says, the IPSS tests are coming back normal, but your left nasal cavity is enlarged. And my adrenals are swollen, which is normal for Cushing's. He says because of the enlarged nasal cavity, he thinks that the cortisols, and acting on that, since I've had it so long, it probably had a hand in shaping it, and probably it's probably the reason why everything's coming back normal. It's high on my left and low on my right, so they're averaging normal. Oh, no, there ain't no rest for the